It's good to see more neglected stories showing up in at least the somewhat mainstream media, in this case the Washington Examiner, covering 11 cases of defensive gun use. As we've covered, legal gun owners foil crimes in the U.S. more than 1 million times every year, according to several different analyses, including one from the CDC, at least the ones that didn't deliberately undercount the way others did. And in most of these cases, well over 99%, the person didn't even fire the gun. Just brandishing it was enough to stop the crime. Of course, that generally doesn't get reported in the news media, especially when the gun isn't fired. There's just nothing really to report. We've also seen that with mass shootings, on average, 14.29 people are killed when the shooter is stopped by police, but just 1.8 when stopped by an armed citizen. So this opinion piece by Amy Swearer and Holden Edwards is welcome, even though it doesn't cover anything unusual. By the way, if the name Amy Swearer sounds familiar, we covered her back in June when Katie Porter in a congressional committee hearing falsely accused her of perjury without giving her a chance to respond. They were prompted to write this by Biden once again insulting and degrading gun owners as being afraid of, quote, deer in Kevlar vests. Speaking of the popularity of the AR-15, which isn't powerful enough to hunt deer even if they're not wearing Kevlar. At any rate, the Second Amendment is not about hunting deer. It's about self-defense, a natural right everyone has just by virtue of being alive. Which means we have the right to resist those who would threaten our rights. Which means we have the right to any tool we can use toward that end. Their examples include a gas station clerk, a man at a family gathering, a man in his car, another man in his kitchen, and a girl in a car outside her house who defended themselves from armed robbers. Also, a woman who was taking a shower had to grab her gun and defend her 2 children from an intruder who wouldn't stop coming at her. In another example, an Amazon driver shot and wounded a man who attacked him with a knife, saving his own life. Despite the fact that the police said he acted lawfully, Amazon deactivated him as a driver. Boo, Amazon! There were a couple of examples of domestic disputes, one of a woman who shot her husband who was attacking her, and a man who shot his wife's brother after he broke in wearing a bulletproof vest. And in one example, a 19-year-old gunman started shooting people at random when he was shot and wounded by an armed bystander. The gunman had killed 3 people. If he'd killed 1 more, it would have been considered a mass shooting. None of these people were facing deer in Kevlar vests. None of these people were trying to be manly or get famous. It wasn't because they had social anxiety, or were weak underachievers, or had anger issues, or were white supremacists, or paranoid conspiracy freaks. They got guns to protect themselves. And they found themselves having to do just that. And it's a good thing they did. And there's no excuse. It's actually been the case for years that the number one reason people give for owning a gun, according to Pew Research, is for protection, with hunting a distant second. No respondent to the survey said, because of deer in Kevlar vests. Of course, self-defense isn't the best reason to give. The best reason to give people for why you own a gun, or why you encrypt your files and messages, or why you won't speak to police without a lawyer, or anything like that is, because none of your damn business, that's why.